All right, next question is from Jules Perry. Jules asks, "Hi Nathan, my question is on band tuning and draw lengths when using different band weights and tapers. Basically, does the draw length vary or stay the same whether the bands have a lighter or heavier draw weight? I can't quite get my head around it. Cheers in advance, Jules." All right, Jules, there's a couple of things here that we've got to get some foundations on, and you can look on YouTube, you can look across all the folks that produce content on slingshots, and this is a common question. What is draw length, all the variabilities there? But you mentioned weight a couple of times. Let's step away from that one. The weight of the bands is of least importance in this equation. If you know your draw length at a static anchor is, let's say, 30 inches to the corner of your mouth, then you're going to always work with your bands basing the elongation factor off of that draw length. So if you have a couple of different types of bands, different thicknesses, different tapers, you want to elongate them. Let's use 400% as a standard. You're still going to use the same length of band to get a 400% elongation at 30 inches. So whether you're shooting lighter bands or heavier bands, it doesn't really matter. If you start changing your tapers, that's going to obviously change the weight. It's going to change the way the bands retract. But you've got a bunch of variables going on in your question here. What I think you need to know most right here is your draw length is always going to be consistent. If you draw to the corner of your mouth, that's always going to be consistent. If you draw to your lobe of your ear, that's going to be consistent. If you shoot full butterfly, that's always going to be consistent unless something changes in your body, which is not likely to happen. And so also you might be referencing the fact that you've shot some really heavy bands, and then being quite heavy, you're not able to get to your standard draw length. Now, of course, that's going to change things drastically because you're not stretching the bands out to that standard draw length. So the key there is don't overband yourself. Shoot bands that you can manageably bring back to a consistent anchor point so that your draw length stays consistent. So if your bands are too heavy, maybe lighten them up. And if you want to shoot those heavier bands, you're going to have to make sure you've got the strength and capacity to draw out to your standard draw length. So, as long as you have a consistent draw length, you're basically going to build your bands to the same elongation factor. Now that elongation factor can change for different tapers and for different thicknesses, but that's a whole nother can of worms that I don't think your question was really pointing to. So hopefully that helped. If not, send us another question. We'll see if we can clarify it for you.